Ange, just straight away, get your reaction to the Europa League draw, a team that you know from the game in October.
Yeah, obviously, familiar opponents. Obviously played them here at home, and obviously watched that game and sort of the Real Sociedad game, knowing that likely opponents. I don't know. If you're late, do we let them in, mate? I don't know. I thought that door bolted. Good game for us. Obviously, excited by seeing the draw today. Did really well. They did really well against Galatasaray. I mean, we play Galatasaray as well away, and that's a tough gig. They're a good side. So, looking forward to it.
If one of your players was late for a meeting, what would be their punishment?
No, they wouldn't be late, mate. They know better than that.
Lesson learned. Before I came in here, I just looked on the bookmakers' websites to check the odds. Who's favourite for the Europa League? Any idea who's top of that list?
Not a betting man, mate. To be fair, I'm not allowed to be either on football, but got no idea, mate.
Bookmakers have Tottenham as favourites for the Europa League. Can you understand why?
Look, what I do know about bookmakers is they're the only ones that make money out of betting, so they must know what they're talking about. So they obviously, if there's some reasoning behind that, but I mean, whether that sort of affects me or not really.
But with the Europa League, look, there's no doubt it's been a difficult season. Last week we saw protests outside. You've had injury after injury after injury. The results have suffered in the Premier League. Recent cup performances haven't gone your way. But there feels like with players coming back, that there is still an opportunity to do something special this season. Is that the message that you remind the players?
Yeah, I don't have to remind them. We've been talking about that all along. And I mean, I know you say last two sort of cup performances, but we did get to the semi-final. So, it wasn't like we bombed out of the cups and, we lost to Villa away in the FA Cup. So, but I get from an objective perspective and sort of tangible what's left in the season. Europe's always been at the forefront of our minds, and we did really well. And we saw how important it was that we did finish in the top 8, even finishing in the top 4, because it kind of helped us this last 2 weeks having 2 games off. So again, we were rewarded for that, and it's important, but not dismissive of the league either. There's still 12, 13 games to go, and from our perspective. We're not happy with where we are in the league, obviously, and our form has been very inconsistent. But there's still an opportunity there to make an impact in the league as well. And the good thing now is we know sort of the program roughly, irrespective of sort of what happens. There's some natural breaks in there which will help us, I think, particularly as you said with the injured guys coming back. So good sort of opportunity for us.
And let's talk about the injury list, the weekly Tottenham health report. What is the latest? Any new concerns?
No new concerns. Sort of from last week, everyone sort of got through okay. 3 guys who sort of picked a knock up last week were all good. Obviously, again, having a full week to recover and prepare is good. And the other guys are ticking along well. We've got sort of now 2 games in obviously quick succession in the league. Good opportunity for us to get some match minutes into guys who've been out for a while. We saw Brennan and Wilson. Obviously Vic come back last week, matters. But Destiny as well. We need to get him some match minutes, and these 2 games will give us an opportunity to do that. And then we've got a week before the sort of first Europa game. We've got the weekend off. So, and again, that's about the time we're hoping that guys like Romero and Mickey in particular, they should be in and around that sort of mark. And Richie and Dom not too far behind, to be honest. So, and again with that, we've got sort of 2 games before the international break, so we're kind of mapping it out and trying to sort of navigate a way where we can have a real sort of as fit and healthy squad as we have all year for the running.
Charlie.
Thanks, mate.
Hi, Ange. It's been 2 straight weeks now where you haven't had that midweek game. So what has that done for your players, not just physically, but mentally as well? I know some of them went away outside of the UK at the weekend. What has that done for them, do you think?
Yeah, I think it helps enormously because I mean there's obviously the physical toll which we kind of know, and just their bodies being able to recover as much as anything else, and then like I said, mentally it takes its toll because you don't invariably you don't get a lot of time to switch off when you've got games constantly because you're in recovery mode, and then you've got to prepare for another game. You don't really have the energy to do anything else, so sort of home life probably suffers a fair bit, and the ability to switch off is difficult. So we gave the boys 2 days off at the beginning of last week. We did a similar thing this week, and I think you can see that in them that both physically and mentally they've really benefited from it, and sort of hopefully now it means that the remnants of that long run has sort of dissipated in their minds as much as in their bodies. But it's also allowed us then to really train well because they when they do come back in, they're refreshed, they feel good, and it means our training has become so much more sort of meaningful in the last 2 weeks.
In terms of your opponents next, it's Ipswich away tomorrow. Obviously, you lost that reverse game back in November. What do you think you can take away from that game in particular going into tomorrow's one, or do you just feel it will be a completely different match?
No, you take away things. They're a hard-working team. They're very well organised. They kind of managed the game really well against us. They obviously scored and got ahead, and we found it really hard then to sort of we had our moments to get back in the game, but we couldn't. So it's really important that we kind of don't allow that to happen again. Like I said, we know they're going to work hard. They're going to be well organised. They're going to fight for everything. So we've got to be in a mindset to match that, and at the same time still play our football. I think that's important. As I said last week. It was important we won and we played well, but I think there was areas we know we can be better, and that's the opportunity for us tomorrow.
How big an opportunity is this weekend for your team to get that momentum, if they can win, to finally try and get back on track and gain some consistency?
Yeah, look, that's the opportunity that does exist. We've obviously our last two sort of Premier League games, Brentford away and Man United at home, have been two important results for us to kind of try and arrest the form in the league. But you need to keep doing that and backing that up. And tomorrow's an opportunity to do that. It's not easy when you're playing away from home and in the Premier League, and especially against a team that's fighting, like Ipswich are. So we know it's not going to be an easy one, but it is. It's an opportunity for us now to, get another strong performance, get another positive result, and like I said, hopefully provide a bit of a sort of foundation for us to kick on. Thanks.
Hi Ange, hope you're well. Last time I saw you a couple of weeks ago, it was just as some of the players were starting to come back, and I asked you how you were feeling, whether you could see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you said, every time I've seen the light at the end of the tunnel, I've been hit by an oncoming train. So now that you've
say I got hit. I haven't been hit, but it felt like it. You went viral with a good question. Mate. Well done.
But now you've had a couple of players coming back into the team, and you've got back-to-back league wins and clean sheets. Where's your head at now in terms of the squad and how you've been doing?
Yeah, look, I think, as I said, for us, it's been kind of. It's not just the guys coming back from injury, which are important, but they need time to sort of get up to speed. But it's just the ability for the existing guys to also recover. I mean, it wasn't just the injuries that affected us; it was the volume of games. Like if we weren't in the League Cup or the Carabao Cup, or if we weren't in Europe, and even with the players we had, if we had sort of one game a week, you'd still be able to manage it better. So. It's been hugely beneficial the last 2 weeks that, yes, we've got some significant players back, and we saw the benefit of that with Vic and Mattias last week, and Brennan and Wilson being able to help. But it's also, guys like, Kulusevski and Archie and Jed and all these other players, Rodrigo, who've been playing so much football, their ability to rest, recover. So, from that point of view, we're in obviously in a much better place. We kind of knew the Villa game was the finish line for us in terms of where we were heading. I think we benefited from last week. Hopefully we do the same thing this week.
And you were asked a lot about James Madison's performance last week, and in a couple of weeks' time, Thomas Tuchel names his first England squad, and James hasn't been involved in that England squad for some time now. What has he got to do to get himself back into that team, into the national team?
Oh, look, I mean, that's Thomas' kind of decision. I think what's important for us is that, we keep Matt as healthy as possible, because we know when he's, in good physical condition, he's really important for us. We saw that last week. He kind of has a real ability to make things happen, in tight areas, score goals, assist goals. So that's where our focus, I think that's where Matt's focus is. He just wants to stay healthy. He's obviously had a little bit of a disruption in recent times, and if he plays well, like things like international honours tend to just sort of flow on from there.
And lastly, I wanted to ask you about Mattias and his performances since coming into the side, and what have you made of his start to life as a Tottenham player?
Yeah, really positive. Really, I was happy to get him in, and again, for a young man who hasn't played a lot recently, obviously that was one of the reasons he was looking to kind of move to get more opportunities. I think, I've kind of kept him out there for 90 minutes for both games, just to build him up physically as much as anything else. But he's a willing worker, which is brilliant. We've seen in both games he really works as hard as he can for the team, which is massive for us. And the more he plays, the more he'll get into the rhythm of how we play, and even for himself as a striker, I think he needs the games to get up to speed. But he's done really well for us. Hugely important. And hopefully, with Dom not too far away, Richie not too far away, we'll have some real good options in that front third. Thanks, mate.
Hi, Ange. Having normal training sessions again, which you were just speaking about, how much does that kind of fire up the coaching side of your brain? You've obviously had the management side and getting players through this period, but to actually get out there properly into high intensity coaching. Yeah,
look, it's I think there's two aspects of my role that you love more than most. One is game day, and the other one is training. This ranks a bit lower down, to be fair, this part of the job. So having the ability, and you kind of get frustrated when you're out there and you can't really do what you want to do as a coach. Not just me, the other coaches as well. You just kind of design sessions, but guys are going to sort of be, walking through things, and we're just trying to provide information. Whereas, the last 2 weeks, the training sessions, you kind of walk off and you're pretty excited about what you've seen. You feel good about the session you've put on, and the coaches get a buzz out of it, the players get a buzz out of it. So it's been good to be able to do that.
And Pedro Porro and Dejan Kulusevski played the most by far for you this season. Are they still in that zone where they could probably do with a game off at some point? Yeah,
I think so. Like I said, these next 2 games are a good opportunity for us. Obviously, we've got Saturday and then we've got City midweek with then a week off. So I think these next 2 games, it was great to give Archie just a moment to have a breather, even though we had to sort of put him on the end last week, because he's another one who's kind of racked up the minutes. But you're right, Pedro, Kulusevski, these kind of guys, we've got an opportunity with the players we've got back to still maintain good levels of performance, but also not, give them a little bit of a rest. Because again, once Europe kicks in, then we know we've got to play weekend again. So we want to make sure we've got enough in the tank, and we don't want to lose any players during this period either.
So players like Destiny and Brendan Johnson, are they in a position where they can start matches now?
Potentially, yeah. Whether it's tomorrow or Wednesday, definitely. I think both, particularly both of them, need to sort of start getting their match minutes up. Wilson as well, but Wilson probably, he's out the longest, so will be a little bit of a slower burner with him. But again, to play and play significant minutes is important. But in terms of starting, I think both Brendan and Destiny, whether it's tomorrow or Wednesday, we'd be certainly looking to get them involved.
Just very quickly on Archie Gray, obviously he's kind of been your Mr. Fix-It, like been in so many different positions. When do you envisage maybe being able to give him kind of a chance in midfield at some point? I know that...
the way it's going, never, mate. I was tempted to put him in goal because we were down our 5th goalkeeper. But no, look, I think whatever happens, and I know people are sort of really keen to sort of put him in there, I think the experience he's had this year is going to be outstanding for him and outstanding for us. He's taken on every challenge we've thrown at him, not flustered, got on with it, performed at a really good level, contributed to the team, all as an 18-year-old in his first year in the Premier League. you know, he'll get to where he needs to get to in good time. But this period here, I think, you know, is going to be enormously beneficial for him.
Finish with George, please.
And sort of going back onto Archie, I feel like at the start of the season, kind of Archie and Lucas and maybe Jed Spencer all kind of had to prove they were kind of good enough to play in the Premier League and get regular minutes, which they have done over the last 2 months. How much of a difference does that make when you go into this sort of week where you got 2 games in 4 days and you know that those 3 guys can come in and the level shouldn't drop anymore?
Yeah, massive. You know, I think I was consistent in saying that even through the most difficult period, I still felt we were getting growth, you know, and they're the kind of guys you go, you know, there is been so much growth in them. And I think you saw even with Lucas last week, you know, he's becoming a man, you know, before our eyes, really. You know, he's not really, you look at him now and I know he's just turned 19, but he doesn't look like a young player anymore, you know, and I think that's because of the experience he's had in recent times where we've just had to throw him in and he's had to do jobs for us and make an impact. So I think, you know, him and Archie and you know, like I said, Jed's been brilliant in terms of the way he's come in. And the thing is with it, they're not just playing, they're actually, you know, making an impact. You know, they're really contributing, and that's great for us, as you said, with the period coming up, because, you know, hopefully with guys like Destiny back and, you know, obviously Mickey and Romero not too far away, and it just gives us some real strength in squad that we're going to need if we're going to compete Europa and League. We're going to need, we've already seen sort of the attrition rate, we're going to need a strong squad. So, you know, those guys are certainly going to be beneficial.
And kind of how difficult was it those first few months of the season where I guess people like Archie and Lucas maybe didn't feel if they were ready to be thrown into Premier League games, and you was having to go with, I guess, kind of 17 or 18, and then when you get a few injuries, it kind of, that rotation is hard to do when you need to for the Premier League games.
Sorry, mate, say that again. You lost me off.
The first few months of the season, how difficult was it kind of only having, I guess, 17 or 18 that you could really trust in the Premier League? Because I guess Lucas and Archie got minutes in the Europa League.
I'm not sure about trust, but I mean, I really thought that guys like, you know, Lucas and Archie could definitely contribute. That's why we kept them. We kind of made a decision, well, because there was an option, particularly with Lucas, to loan him out. But I really felt, you know, working through pre-season, that him and Lucas could definitely contribute to us. And the same with Jed. I think with Jed, it was just, you know, we wanted to give Jed every opportunity. And, you know, we knew that certainly there was a player there, but a lot of it had to be up to Jed himself. And he's just worked really awfully hard and stayed patient through that early period. You know, could have been easy for him to get frustrated. He wasn't playing a lot. There was opportunities for him to play. He wasn't getting a run. And I think looking at his attitude through that, I think there was real growth for him personally in that, you know, maybe in previous years he might have sort of given up the fight and said, you know, right, I don't fit in here, let's just move on. But he kept going, and that makes an impression on people around him, his teammates, and, you know, he earned his shot at it, and he's just grown since then.
And just finally, I think you mentioned last week that Christian Romero had a scan coming up. Has he had that? And is that?
Yeah, he's had that, and it's going well. He's in a good place. So, like I said, with him and Mickey, it's just picking our moment now. I'm really keen to get him back and have him back for the rest of the year. You know, and you know, we've got a really good sort of period coming up where I think we can manage that, where, you know, they're back, they've had good weeks of training with us, so that when they do come back in, they're in a good place. So yeah, he's still going well.
Okay, we'll end the broadcast section there. Move on.